Hey, it's Dr. Nicole.
And Coach Cofia.
And Dion. Welcome to Opportunities Over Obstacles,
The podcast where we discuss lessons in motherhood,
Life and business.
Hey, ladies.
Hey,
How are
What's
you?
up? Hey, hey,
good.
hey.
What's
What's
up? What's up?
happening?
What's up?
And
Well,
it
it's a lot happening.
totally a
Always a
lot.
lot happening.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
gosh, cannot keep up. Don't you feel like they, quote unquote, have us on this hamster wheel where it's an issue, we all start arguing about it. We can't even remember the next week, and then we're on to the next. Like our cortisol is just spiking up and down
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
Lord, not the
from the
cortisol.
stress.
100%. I believe it. And I feel like when it's an election year, it definitely ramps up a little bit more and it gets people riled up. So yeah, I definitely think
Yeah,
so.
we start turning on each other, and it's a mess.
Listen, friendships have ended, decades-long friendships. I'm like, over opinions? Is this what we
I
doing?
know.
Yeah.
And I admire, like when I was younger, there was this political couple. They were on opposite ends. They were both commentators on TV. One was a Democrat, one was a Republican. And they used
Mhm.
to get on TV and argue, but they were married for like 20, 25 years.
Wow.
I'm like,
They are
yes,
mature. They
yes,
definitely have the maturity of we can disagree on some things, but we can love each other still. Like
Yeah,
yes. And
yeah.
get that
everybody
money.
needs to learn that. Yes.
And I'm guilty of unfriending people on social media, but I also am just kind of newsy. So I'll just read, just to kind of, I don't know, just kind of, I don't know, call it being newsy. But yeah, I want to
What's
see what
Uzi?
you're newsy, like
Nosy. Is that how
nosy.
you guys say it
Oh.
in the
Oh
Midwest?
Nosy. Oh, yeah, we do say newsy, don't we? We do
Or
say
do we
newsy.
say auntie, or I don't know.
nosy.
We
Okay, so
say,
you're being
we say
nosy?
auntie, nosy. That's what, yeah.
Okay. But you call it newsy.
People say newsy, yeah.
Like you watching the news?
Like
'Cause that's
newsy
what
Susie. You never
Just
heard
like
somebody call somebody
I
newsy
have
Susie?
sniffing
never heard of
around.
nosy
No?
Susie.
Yeah.
Never. Lord. I've never heard of newsy Susie. Oh wow, the things you learn.
Different
Yes.
phrases. You
hmm
guys say pop, right? Well,
Yeah.
my mom, my because they're from Chicago. They used to say pop. Give me some pop, Nicole, like some soda.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, my family down
Hmm.
south would say pop soda. I'm like, what's a
Hmm.
pop soda? Just call it soda. Or I have a friend in Maryland. She still says Mr. Pibb, and I was for years. I was like, what's
What
Mr.
is
Pibb?
that?
It's a
It's
type of it's a
it's
brand
like
of
Dr.
soda.
Pepper, right? It's like
Mm,
a yeah,
root
Yeah.
beer.
but
Yeah. Well, not root beer. It's the Dr. Pepper version of Coke. I think it's Dr. Pepper with
Oh,
Pepsi. Dr. Pepper is either with Pepsi or Coke, and Mr. Pibb is the Dr.
it's the
Pepper
other
of the other
brand.
one. Of who I can't remember who it is,
see
but
how they got us brainwashed? It's all
But
the
she
it's
same
would order,
formula, but
right? But she would order it. Oh, let me get a Mr. Pibb, and the person was like, "A what?" She was like, "A Dr. Pepper."
same thing.
I had
Same
never
thing.
heard of it. I had never heard of it before.
It's just the brand.
Always crazy.
That is nuts.
Yeah.
Well,
so what are we
speak.
getting into today? We were speaking of people losing opinion, because there used to be a time where you could actually debate. Like when I went to college, we used to be in the library and study groups debating, sharing our
Hmm.
opinions and educating each other. And social media used to be a place like that too. But I used to post political content because it was just my thing, but I have completely stopped because like you said, it's too incendiary.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
social media
Yeah.
is so influential, especially like how we see ourselves
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and with
absolutely.
trends.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think we brought it up because we were seeing how a lot of people, I think there was a lady on there, or people that I was following on social media, and they were talking about how they had arrived at a certain number of years. And based on that number of years, they were feeling all of these symptoms related to being that number of years. And I was just like,
What
I
was
don't
the
want no
number,
parts.
Kofi? And she's like,
I don't want no parts of that. I don't want no part because it's like we don't realize like if words truly have power, like, what are you speaking? Like,
Right.
what are you saying? You're
Mhm.
saying that you are getting like old, and what does old imply? Old
Mhm.
implies like, I'm like, for us, I think in America, it implies you get older, you get weaker, you get
Useless,
sicker. You
nobody
get sicker,
sicker. Yes.
older, weaker. You like, and it's like you can not have those things apply to you, but it's really gonna have to be like intentional about what, for me, it's about what I consume. And I just refuse to consume that
Mhm.
food. I call it foolishness. Y'all can say whatever
Yes.
y'all want,
Yeah.
but I don't
Foolishness.
want, I
I
don't
heard
want no
somebody
foolish.
I heard somebody recently after their doctor's appointment. I said, "How'd your appointment go?" And he was like, "I'm fat and I'm getting old and it's bone on bone on my knees." And I was like,
And it's going what? What?
"It's bone on his." You know, people talk about like your
Oh,
joints. And I was like, "So what are we going to do about it?" Like,
yes.
you do have a choice. And I think a lot of I mean, I know we talk about like the aesthetics of it, but like I'm trying to make deposits now. So when I'm older, I'm like looking, yeah, I want to look great, but also want to feel great. And I had to worry about those issues. So
Mm.
it was just kind of sad to hear them accept, like, oh, well, this is what the doctor said. And I'm like,
Wow.
well, you have options. Like, not everyone who ages has to accept that they're going to have bone on bone issues.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
doesn't sound like I'm sure the doctor also had another part, like do this, this, and this to mitigate it or to improve your condition. Like, or did the doctor just say, give up? Like, oh, well, you fat, old, and bone on bone.
People
Sometimes people
lazy.
hear what they want to hear.
Hmm.
So the doctor could have very well, I would imagine, I would hope that a physician would say, like, yeah, this is the scenario, but like, here are some options. But also, like, we choose to, like Cofia said, like, we choose to cling to like certain things. So I'm wondering if this person was just like, oh, well, this is just who I am. I'm just like,
Mhm.
that's sad. But I'm like, I feel like as I age, I'm getting better. So I'm
Yes.
like when I hear, I know we were talking about like the phrase old lady. When I hear old lady, I don't think about like decrepit, walking with a cane. Like, I don't, that doesn't come to mind because that wasn't the example, that I had. So I think it's all about your perspective and what you make out of it.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
then why because we live, like you're right, Kofi, America is such a youth driven culture.
Mm,
And there's other cultures where aging comes with status and wisdom and
right.
respect. So, but everything on social media, like people are 30 talking about I'm old. And I'm like, wow, that is really sad. You think that? Like, that is sad. But
Or the content, yeah, the content that I see that talked about like millennial, Gen Z, Gen X, boomers. And I'm just like, millennials aren't old to me. Like, well, I'm Gen X, but I probably relate more to millennials because I'm at the tail end. But I'm like, do y'all really see yourselves as old? Like, I don't think I'm an auntie. And honestly, is an auntie that bad? I don't know. But it's just crazy how people
and they
are
got
quick
some
to
young aunties, some of them teen pregnancies. Look, it
And some
yes.
young grandmas too.
And some young grannies, yes.
It's like,
35 years
whoa.
old.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's true. I got friends that are grandparents. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I think that makes a difference. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want no parts of it though. Still, I'm like,
Especially
no, thank
speaking
you.
speaking dis-ease and distress into yourself because of a number, like I will never
Mm-hmm.
understand that. Like, because people start putting it in their minds, and there's studies that the way you think about aging can even affect your heart health, your cardiovascular functioning. Like, your
Hmm.
thoughts will actually affect your blood vessels, your heart,
Mm-hmm.
like that part of your health. So I'm like, why are you thinking that when a number comes, you're automatically going to have
You just
these
checked out.
symptoms?
Problem.
Yeah. And then also,
Yeah.
why would you not do something? If your legs hurt, go out and walk. Start
Yeah.
exercising. Like, why would you just sit there and be like, Lord, my legs are hurting, my knees? Like, you need to, that
Yeah.
means you probably need to get up off the sofa and start walking.
Yeah. Now listen,
Yeah.
I used to tease my siblings when I was young, like, because my brother would get up and I could hear him walk down the hallway just cracking, right, his joints. And like, yeah, there's certain things that I notice, but I'm okay with accepting a thing, well, not accepting a thing, observing a thing, and then doing something about it. So I'm not in denial about the changes. I think it's a beautiful thing to actually be in tune with like your body. But the other piece of the puzzle is get up off your behind.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
think
Yeah.
I think for me it's like there's a lot more things that we just have a greater awareness of. And so I think because of culture, social media, all these other things, it starts to bring an awareness that maybe we didn't have. And so I think
Hmm.
there are a lot of things that we are just more aware of now that were still already there in our 20s, teens, they were there, but because we didn't have an awareness of them, we just like we it didn't matter. And I feel like there are women who are getting like an upper number to be on this earth but still are getting better physically. And so I think it really is the mindset around what you think and what you take in and what are those thoughts that you have like intentionally, like you literally we start like I was walking down the steps at the movie theater. And
Oh, they have steps at the movie theater?
at the one I was at. So I
Wow.
was walking down the steps at the movie theater and this thought tried to come in like, "Oh, it was so out of nowhere. Like, oh, be careful, like
You gonna tumble down?
yeah." And it was just like at the same time it was like, "Oh, because you're this age, then that's related to that." And I'm like, "No, no, 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 no." Like and if you're not conscious about it, like we would adopt these different things that we think, and we think it's just very subtle, but I think it like because of what we think, that's what we experience. And we think it's what we're supposed to experience, and it's like it doesn't have to be that way. Like we don't have to get older and weaker and sicker and more frail. Like we can get better. Who says that? Like who came up with that? That was like
And they
I
just
just don't
kept
believe it.
running with it
And
and
kept
telling
running with it. And so
everybody.
now everything we do is related to getting older, getting weaker, getting sicker. There are cultures who don't think that, who don't believe that.
Hmm.
And so it's like we have adopted that and we just have come to terms with, okay, well that's just a part of life. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
I'm not buying into that foolishness.
Look, my grandfather died at 104. His other sibling was 102. The other one was 98. And
Wow.
my grandfather was flirting with the nurses and everything until 102
Yes.
while he was in hospice. And he was looking at the people. And I was just like, this is being in tune with life. I
Hmm.
never heard him I never heard him use the word old. Now, obviously, he's an elder. He's
Yeah.
100 years old, but he would do his own shopping until 98. He
Hmm.
was stubborn and fighting people until the last like 6 months. And I was like, I never saw that mentality. Even my grandmother, after her cancer diagnosis, she changed her whole lifestyle. She got healthier in her 60s and early 70s until, there was a recurrence of the cancer. But she got healthier. She lost a lot of weight. She started dressing snazzier. I mean, everything just shifted because I feel like she had an appreciation for life versus like,
Hmm.
oh Lord, I'm not like, she's
Hmm.
like, no, and she used to say, like, I don't know why old people start dressing all downward. Like they should be wearing colors and dressing
Hmm.
beautiful. And so, like you said, Kofia, it's the mentality because her and her friends used to be shopping. My mom was like, they were taking you everywhere as a little baby. They were driving until they couldn't drive anymore. But it wasn't a sense of like giving up on life. And I feel like when we
Hmm.
talk about it, like, oh, I'm 40, oh, I'm this, I'm that, you're actually slowly walking into just eventually, I don't know if it would be giving up or
Hmm. I think
just
it's a
saying like
settling.
helpless. Yes, settling. That's the word.
It's
You're
a
not really giving up,
settling.
but you're settling. Yeah.
Hmm. Because it would
Yeah.
take, I mean, think about when you settle in any other area of your life, you haven't, like, you just accept what comes versus fighting for what you want and standing on what you want. And it's like some people don't even realize that there's more, because all they've seen is older, weaker, sicker, useless, die. And it's like,
Mm.
because they haven't had that exposure to a different mindset around it, and they just, they just continue to repeat the cycle. And I feel like we have to expand what other people see, not because we need to expand what other people see, but because like us living fully gives other people permission to live fully in all the areas of their life,
Mm.
especially with getting another birthday every year.
Yep.
Being blessed. So then what do you think, since you're what we're exposed to, what about all this? We were saying there's perimenopause, and probably by us saying it, the phones are listening now. But like everything now is
Absolutely.
perimenopause, and
Hmm.
how horrible it is, and any
Mhm.
little symptom, mental, emotional, physical, it's like, oh Lord, here goes my perimenopause. Now, what do you
Yeah.
all think about that?
So I've been seeing a lot of content around perimenopause, and like some of the funnier videos are around like, oh, I'm forgetful and I'm snapping and all of the symptoms. And when we talk about content, I wonder if that is like that first scroll stopper to get people to be like, oh,
Okay, yes.
right.
Yes.
And then other content I see is breaking down like, well, what's happening in your body. And one podcast, I feel like I mentioned this to you guys before. This lady was trying to explain to a guy, like, when you're involved with a woman of a certain age and they're in menopause, perimenopause, like you're dealing with this many different people and this is what's happening in her body. So like I appreciate it. I don't, of
Now,
course,
would he
everyone
want to
receives.
date all these people? Like what?
Well, I think for him, he was like, "Oh, that explains like what's happening with my wife." Like
Oh, he was
it was
okay.
really
Mhm.
insightful for him, and a lot of the comments were like, "Man, I found my community." Because I think a lot of us, back to Kofia's point, because we didn't have social media, I wonder if a lot of people just felt like they were dealing with things
Alone.
alone. So
Mhm.
now it's like, oh, it's not just me, right? So I don't know if it's necessarily stopping at the this is it, guys. But I can see how, in the content kind of way, people are using that
To
initial
draw you
shot,
in.
right, to draw people in and to educate people and to say, like, here's what you should be eating, here's what's happening hormonally. This is, maybe these are some things you can look into. Like, I really appreciate Dr. Nicole when you were when you put us, and I don't even know why. I was just explaining to someone yesterday, like when my cycle comes, I don't even feel it. Like it's literally like seamless, and it's because now I'm more in tune with. So I kind of appreciate. I mean, I think that's the beauty of social media, right? Is that it brings an awareness and it brings a sense of community. Now, what people choose to do with that, right? The victim mentality. That I think that's up to the individual. But
That's
it's
true,
yeah,
because people were not in tune to what was going on in their bodies. And my friend who does the work wrote the book, Chantal, about the period. She does do perimenopause work. She says it's like a second puberty as
hmm
far as what our hormones might be going through, and the same ways we have to like care for ourselves and rest and eat the right things. So I could see, because that is true. Actually, a lot of women are totally out of sync with their bodies, no
yep,
matter the age, 20, 30, 40, 50. So they wouldn't know, one phase to the next because they just are
yeah,
unaware. So I
and
could see that.
yeah, and I'm trying to think. I'm trying to reflect that on my own experience, like. I don't think my mom taught me how to be in tune with my body. It was just like, this is going to happen once a month, and here's how you kind of muddle through it when that time comes, versus looking at it more holistically. So that I do appreciate that perspective. So I think people not only are more aware, but now it's like, oh, what I do eat, drink, all of that
Mm,
does affect, how I kind of go through that time of the month. Um, and the fact that people are having conversations with like the opposite sex, I think that's a beautiful thing too, right?
mm.
Because men, I think historically have been like, oh, PMS, menopause, like, oh, but now there's a bit of a deeper conversation that's happening.
I think for me, what bothers me, if I can say what bothers me, I don't know, but what bothers me about some of this stuff is that we use it as an excuse. And I think a part of that is my own experience with it is like,
Mm.
oh, this is my time of the month. Everybody just kind of have to deal with who I am. You know what I mean? Like, and
The
it's
kids, everybody, the dog.
everybody. And it's like, that is that is a victim mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we get stuck there. And if we're not, again, intentional about, yes, gathering the information, being more aware of what our bodies are doing, but also taking responsibility for like, this is just like, it's almost like, oh my God, I'm triggered. Okay, just because you like that, we don't stop there. We don't stop at just being triggered. Oh, we can identify we've been triggered. Okay, so how are you working through that? Like, how are you being less triggered? Like, what are we
Mm-hmm.
practicing here? But I feel like we get this awareness and we wear it as a badge of honor to be the same.
Yeah.
Right.
And to
Well,
me,
this
that's
is
where I'm
this
like,
trigger.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
it's like, this is who
Right.
I am. And now we can actually use the words. I know the words. I can explain why
Right. It
I'm
has a
acting
name.
like that. This is Perry. It's because of Perry. Okay, listen, Perry, what
Like
you
it's
gonna
a
do about
guy
Perry?
parent.
Right.
Yes.
Like, get it together. Like,
Right.
you have ownership over your life. Like, you can make those changes. Yes, it's gonna be uncomfortable. It's gonna take effort, but like, that's what grinds my gears. Like, we
Right.
use this awareness as a badge of honor
Mm.
to remain the same. And that's why I'm like, you got a couple more steps you got to follow through.
So how do we? So I totally agree. But in the age of social media, people are like, oh, they're aware that it has a name. How do we take all this conversation that's happening in cyberspace, right? Like, how do people know? Like, how, like, even to people who are listening, like, okay, now what? Like, how do they kind of transition from just taking ownership of it to actually like improving? Like, okay, I
I,
acknowledge the thing, but
I think that's a part of the transformation process. Like,
mhm,
the part of it is knowing that, okay, just because I can name something and I can use my words, like, you have to understand in all areas of your life that that's not where it ends.
mhm,
You still have to continue to make steps. And I think that awareness of like, this is not the end of my process, this is not the end of my journey, to keep treading forward. And now that I've learned the words to describe it, now I can look into ways and skills to be able to like address those things. And, okay, what is it that I really need? Okay, me snapping at my kids, nothing has changed. Like, the house is
Mm-hmm.
still the same, the cleanliness level is still the same. I am the one that has changed. So my
mhm.
I'm
expectations,
yelling at people
you
for dishes and
that I normally am good with. And it's
I do
like,
that anyway.
chill. Like, and so it's just that awareness and knowing when I am getting more irritable. Oh, okay. So then I just have to make sure that I'm pouring into myself, taking time to relax, slowing down in my responses, like giving people a lot more benefit of the doubt, because I know internally my sensory is intense. So it's just like, I
Mhm.
think just talking about, the process of change and transformation and what it looks like, and like telling people these are the stages of what that looks like. So don't get stuck here.
Mhm.
And as they continue to walk through it, I feel like they will learn the things that will help them, like, because it's going to be a little bit different for each person.
Right. I just feel like there's
but
so
it
many, like, I've been fortunate enough to, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead. You've been fortunate.
I'm just thinking about like, okay, I've been fortunate enough to have the awareness and be able to just be of mind to do something about it, right? Like, there are things within my control. But to people, again, out here on social, like, we're talking about social media and
Mm.
aging. So how does the conversation shift from, how does it go deeper? Like, we're here in this space and hopefully someone's hearing this. So I guess I'm just like, okay, we know this, but then there's a whole lot of women. There's a whole lot of us
I
that
think we
don't.
have to teach people how to consume social media the same way, like, you know how we teach the dietary guidelines, or like we kind of know
Mm,
now like trans fats are unhealthy, or you don't want to, there's healthy
right.
fats, or there's certain foods. I think we have to teach people how to consume social media, because they don't understand how it inundates their psyche. Like even me, I have to, if there's something like you said with unfriend, I will unfollow something because I don't
Mhm.
like how it's just, it's so negative, or it's so, it can even make me feel something about myself, and I'm like, oh no. So I
Mm-hmm.
think we have to teach people that just because you see something doesn't mean you, I don't know. You got to be in touch with yourself and how you're consuming it. And if it's keeping you stagnant versus, if there's a social media content that's motivating you to look deeper into something, great. But if it's just making you feel like, oh, that's why I'm blowing up for everybody. Okay, I'm gonna just keep blowing. Like it doesn't motivate you to change. Then you need to watch what you're consuming and getting
Yeah.
around, as we say, the peanut gallery in these people, because the perimenopause content I'm seeing is not so much from the experts, it's the
Mm-mm.
people saying
Me
every
too.
single thing, right? Yes, like, oh, perimenopause is horrible because I did this, I don't know, what are they saying? Like, it's just so depressing. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like,
Mhm.
I will literally, you know how you can snooze, like, don't see this person's
Oh,
stuff for
For 30 days. I know. And then they come back again. I'm like, oh,
that's
you a
snooze and
snooze.
unfollow, honey.
30
Let
That's
me
days
my
is
snooze you
quick.
favorite.
again. I
That
don't
is my
like that.
favorite.
Talk about the
Yeah.
same stuff.
I
You,
think it's definitely, yeah, it's definitely important to be aware of what content works for you and doesn't work for you anymore. Like I'll
Yeah.
see someone's content on Instagram. So one guy, I'm not gonna mention his name because everyone knows him. But I was just
Who
like,
is it? Now we gotta know. Put
I
it in
was
the chat.
like, he went from talking about like business. I feel like we talked about this in our Voxer. He went from talking about business to like whatever hot topic there was in the church and politics. And I was like, I do politics, I do social justice every day, and that is emotionally draining. So I'm like, I don't want to hear any other commentary about this on my free time. So
Yes,
Yeah.
especially
I'm
if
real
it's
quick.
uninformed. Like what?
Right. I'm like, I already do
Like,
this for like 8 to 10 hours a day.
you
And
don't know what
now
you're
in my
talking about.
off time, like my off time, I don't want to consume that. Like be in tune with like what no longer suits you or fit or help support the person that you're trying to be or where you're trying to go. I had to like y'all know I'm quick to unfollow. That's just like my biggest piece of advice because it's literally too much to consume. And I just feel like social media has just become a part of people's lives that they don't even they did
Think
it's
about
all
it.
it's addictive even, right? Like they're just like
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
give me more versus
Yeah.
like, oh wait, this is making me feel away or it's too much and
Mm-hmm.
it's encroaching right on
Yeah.
my
Mm-hmm.
personal life. Like people don't really have that boundary, I don't think.
Yeah. It makes me think of like Nicole was talking about how the cortisol level, it's like our cortisol is going up and down, it's spiking and all
Mm-hmm.
that stuff. But the social media is giving people that dopamine hit. It's like
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
that hit of like excitement, that
Ooh,
hit of I'm living
yeah.
life through you, that hit of like
I'm
this,
hating on you. Like you doing
right?
the
It's
whole
like
spectrum.
it's like, man, we gotta understand there's a difference here. Like you, this social media is like the new sugar. You know what I mean? It's the
Oh,
new
Yes. Ooh, you need
refined
to,
sugar. It's like
Cofia.
we, because it's like we get to this place where we don't realize how much we're consuming, how bad it is for us, how much it's changing our insides and our appetite.
Mm-hmm.
And
mm-hmm.
it's like, mm-mm, we gotta let
Even
it
this
go.
morning, I had to tell people this morning, can you put your phone down? Like it's Sunday, it's Sunday morning. Like we should not be reaching for like TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, if it's my kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a beautiful
Hmm.
day. And I told them, I'm like, after church, we're going for a walk. You can bring your scooter or your bike and we're just gonna go outside.
And just
Like
immerse yourself.
it
Hmm.
really is an addiction. So that was perfect. That you
Yeah.
said
There's a
it's sugar.
researcher, yeah, it is the new sugar, and there's a
Mm-hmm.
researcher that actually he was one of my professors in grad school, but he's a big researcher now on mental health of teens. His name is Jonathan Haidt. His new book is The Anxious Generation. And he looks at the introduction of smartphones and how it has affected people because it's access to all this stuff. His
Mhm.
recommendation is no phone until high school, no social media until age 16, because of the brain development, and they don't have the capacity, like the way we're talking about filtering things. They just take, it's like you're putting
Yep.
a baby in a sugar store, like you said, and just pouring sugar down their throats. And then he says, real physical community. So, like you said, going to church, going to whatever, the play dates afterwards, going to activities, not these virtual communities for kids because it's not real, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because people can say anything on a keyboard. So, I was telling my daughter, because she doesn't have a phone yet, I said, no, Jonathan Haidt said,
But Jonathan said,
you're going to get it. But it was like, imagine the assault on our brains. And then, at least we're adult enough. I don't think we never, all of us are of the age where we didn't have phones at 8 or 9 years old because it
mm-hmm.
wasn't really a thing yet.
Yep.
Mm.
So I'm like, okay, it just was a wake up call, because when I look at how fragile kids are, they're strong, but like their minds are
Mm-hmm.
very influenced. And
Yeah.
I'll be like, oh Lord, just imagine you have for example, a little black girl, but all she sees is images of little blonde haired white girls.
Mhm.
Just that right there is sending a message without
Mm-hmm.
anybody even saying anything.
Not a word, not a word that needs to be said because
Yeah.
she's her brain is trying to find a story, a meaning from this,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
And it's usually you know how when we search
it's
for meaning, it's usually negative towards us, right? Like
mm-hmm,
we just create
exactly,
a negative narrative.
Hmm.
exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
all
And these
right,
kids
so we
walk
got
away with.
to age. Yeah, we got it. So what do we have to do? What are the takeaways? What were you going to say, Dion?
I was just thinking about the effect that technology and social media is having on our kids' social skills. Then
Oof.
there's that. So we talked about like a physical community, like that's where, because I'm not sure if you guys saw there was an article about how employers are firing
Oh, you
Gen Z
Z's.
grads because they're
They're like, what
unprofessional, they
up,
have poor
bro?
communication skills. Like
We
these are the
call them that.
years, right? Like these are the years. I had to teach my
We
son
taught
last
them.
week. I was like, you're not gonna be able to wear shorts and a t-shirt to church much longer. Like there's
Hmm.
like uh, not all attire is appropriate for
Yeah.
every
Yes.
occasion. So I was just thinking about that and how it can kind of roll over into the later years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then Dion, what people were even arguing about it, right? About like, well, we should be able to be more informal and
So, and then maybe this is another topic. So, again, I relate more to a millennial because I understand the sentiment of like, work-life balance, but and just being able to add value without all the pomp and circumstance. Like I get that, but then it's like you're new here. You still got to like first impressions are still important.
You're new here.
You're new here, so like I'm kind of like in
the
the
brain
middle,
doesn't change. The brain is going
right?
to evaluate you based on
By your
how you first
appearance,
show up.
absolutely. So by that, I'm like, play the game a little bit until you can, demonstrate your value, and then you can start to demand all the things. But a lot of these
Yeah.
articles are talking about how like these new grads, they want to demand a certain amount of money right out of graduation, and they want to, like all these other perks, and it's like, and I'm totally there. But there's also a level of like work ethic that I think is really, really needed. Not the work ethic of the boomers, right? I feel like they're
Hmm.
at the opposite end of the spectrum where they would kill themselves for their job. I'm not saying do that, but there is something, it's a stick to itiveness, right? So
And
yeah.
they establish so much for us. See, we don't respect usually in this country what came before us. So we
Mm-hmm.
want to trash like boomers or the silent generation, but they actually did a lot to build the foundation of what we now come and say, oh, well, I'm worth this and I'm worth that. But it was people that worked 20, 30 years at a company and established a company culture or certain things that
Hmm.
they did that I feel like we are so quick to discard it. And it's like, no, I don't want to work like how they did, but I respect the mentality of
Hmm.
that's what they felt they had to do, and they did what they felt they had to. But like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to come back around the marketplace. Like, people are going to keep demanding and saying they're worth this and that. The marketplace will let you know. And
And
it's
that's
going to be
why
a
they're
lot of
getting
people.
fired
Yes.
because
A lot
you
of
don't even
people are
have
going
the
to find.
basic skills, social, like soft skills, you know?
And
Yeah.
it's gonna be like, okay, now then it's gonna shift, and then everybody's gonna be this earnest worker. Like, you know how
Hmm.
things just
Come
Come
back
back
around.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
so
no,
it's
as a
crazy.
Gen Xer, I'm just it's like a ping pong match. I'm just like looking at the Gen Zs and the millennials fuss at the boomers, and the boomers are calling them lazy. And I'm just in the middle. Like I feel like I have the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
You know, I feel
And Gen
like
Alphas is that's Avery and Worry and them.
that's our
They
kids. Yeah.
Yes. They're like, look, Warrior's like, she'll tell you about Gen Alpha. She said, we do this. I forgot all the characteristics. But I think those are gonna be those indigo kids, those highly intellectual, like intuitive kids.
Hmm.
I'm curious about what they're gonna look like.
Avery's all about I'm going to be an entrepreneur, mommy. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
yeah. And she's like, I'm going to have a spa, and I'm going to be an esthetician, and I'm also going to be doing makeup on Broadway. But then I might want to do a little bit of dancing. Like she's going to. I'm like, yes, go do all the things,
Yes.
right?
That's gonna be so interesting to see them. But we're gonna teach them positive messages about aging. Is that right?
That's
Absolutely,
Regardless
correct.
of what generation.
Yes. I wish
absolutely.
we could have a different word than aging,
Yes. Evolving,
but I
or is that
But
too
what's wrong
slow?
with aging? What's wrong with that word? Is it a stigma? Is it the word or the stigma behind the word?
I think it's the stigma behind the word. I
Mm.
think everybody's definition of age. I think more people's definition of aging is negative than it is any other thing.
So change
I
the
don't.
word or go on a campaign to change the mentality.
I was
Which
going to
one is
say
easier? Like,
it's probably the mentality that needs. I feel that probably needs to be challenged because aging. Everyone ages from the second you're born. You're aging.
Mm,
And the conversations I would have with my parents and my village was like that's a part of life. Like we celebrate being
it's a
born with
blessing.
someone, right? It's a
Mhm.
blessing.
mhm.
Like it's how you embrace it. It's how you live
Yeah.
your dash. Like that's I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the word, but I get it. I get that it's
Mm,
definitely a stigma.
yeah.
This interview. Oh gosh, what's her name? Is it Rashida Ali? Is she like an actress personality?
I don't know.
I caught a clip of
Rashida.
her on. Here we're talking about TikTok again. See, she was saying like at 56, she was like, I feel sexy. She was like, I feel so much more
The Cosby
confident.
lady?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay.
Who is that?
I'll drop a pic in our
Okay.
chat. But she was like, and I'm giving these girls half my age and run for their money. I was like, that is age. Like there's a wisdom and a
Mm.
beauty and a maturity that comes along with aging. So I love her take on it. I'm like, aging, it's okay. I'm okay with it, you know?
That's
Yeah.
good that she
Yeah.
made that, because I think sometimes we are talking on a higher level. There is a real
Hmm.
basic level where you have to probably break down, because somebody had said, there was a post where they said anybody over 40, you're just wasting your life away. If you are not a millionaire yet, you're useless. Like, somebody really thought that. So then it's like somebody has to get real basic and be like, sis, first of all, you're out of touch. Like, somebody has to break it down and explain to her the beauty of continuing to live on this earth. Like, she just didn't
Right.
get it. Yeah, she said you're basically useless.
And most of the billionaires
So
that we know in Hollywood, they didn't become billionaires till they were in their 40s or 50s.
yeah.
Like that's the part of life where you're like, I really did not know what I wanted to do with my life until I was 40. So that's just
So
crazy.
maybe
I'm
we
just
need to
like,
normalize, like,
normalize it.
not feeling like everything is figured out by the time you're 30. And if not, it's a wash. Like,
Yeah.
you're
Hmm.
going downhill.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I can see that.
Interesting.
Okay. Look at
All
that.
right.
All
So the
right.
takeaways, like, look, watch this, how you consume social media, and mind over matter. Stop saying you're old and washed up and
Mhm.
your knees hurt. If your knees hurt, go to yoga. Start walking. Do something
Right.
about it. Stop commiserating with a bunch of other people that saying their knees hurt too. That's
Mhm.
not
Listen,
community. I'm sorry, y'all.
for every
No.
4 pounds, what is it? For every 4 pounds of weight you lose, you take like 16 or 20 pounds of pressure off your joints. So if your knees are
Wow.
hurting, just lose 4 pounds.
Put the
Like
Twinkies down.
put the Twinkies down. Go, if you don't want to hit the pavement, you get on the elliptical, do water aerobics, something. Like
Chick-fil-A. Put the Chick-fil-A away.
not the Chick-fil-A.
Hmm.
That
Oh
is
my
crazy.
gosh.
The Wham Wham Zuzus. Oh gosh. Okay. All right. This was a great episode.
Yes.
We will catch you guys next time with an exciting opportunity to turn that obstacle into an opportunity.
All right.
Okay. See y'all.